One recurrent theme on the Hater channel is that the 90s were the peak. And one man that epitomizes the 90s, for better or for worse, cuckolds, is Freddie Prinze Jr. That's right. The 90s heartthrob himself, Freddie Prinze, is apparently a big-time WWE and, I'm assuming, overall wrestling fan. Freddie Prinze used to be a writer, some other bullshit. Now he has some talk show or something, I don't know. He discussed WWE and he said something that ruffled a lot of feathers. Cucks. Apparently, he was saying that ESPN is upset or at least unhappy with the WWE deal. Well, color me surprised, cucks. The Hater said this before the deal was signed. The Hater already knew, like a clairvoyant, that this is exactly what would happen. We all knew that ESPN, like everyone before them, would be disappointed with the deal that they signed with the E, right? Think about it. WWE has always, under Vince McMahon, strived for more. This is one of their core tenets, I would say, their core business principles. WWE is a weekly show and has been for a long time, at least in some capacity. Now we have 2 shows a week since like 1999, and more if you count like NXT and other bullshit that nobody watches, but you understand what I'm getting at, right? So WWE has always been shopping around for networks, If you remember back in the day, back in the Dizzy, right? WWE would air primarily the main show, Raw, on USA Network, cucks this, USA Network. And that was kind of like the home, quote unquote, of WWE. But because WWE was such a lucrative property, there was competition between WWE, but also between the channels in order to get the rights to be the channel that carries WWE, right? The power differential was something that we never knew about, but we could make inferences, right? For example, TNN was the home of Raw for a while, and Raw just felt cheaper when it was on TNN. I like TNN because TNN became like fucking Spike Network, which was awesome. But for WWE, that was seen as a step backwards, right, from USA Network. Then SmackDown was like on TBS. You know what I mean? SmackDown was like on the CW. SmackDown was the B show. And that's kind of how it was treated. It was the B show primarily because it was on the B network. Eventually, Fox got the rights to SmackDown. We all know how that went, right? And SmackDown became the A show. It was obvious that it had to become the A show because Fox is paying a lot of money for it, and you're going to get a lot more views on Fox than you're going to get on USA Network, where Raw keeps ending up in every once in a while, right? Raw will one day be on the USA Network again, best believe. If you think it's going to stick around on Netflix, you've lost your mind, motherfuckers. Eventually that deal's going to fall through, right? They're not going to renew it. It's probably already a colossal disaster. And it's the same thing that's happening nowadays, Kexties, with respect to other companies, right? AEW, they're good for now, but eventually you're going to see them go down the drain, right? Just like TNA. TNA started out with like their online browser. You can go watch it there. Then eventually they made it to Spike TV. Big ass jump. Then before you know it, they were like on Access TV or like TV America, like channels that they were just like inventing at that point, And it's the same thing right now with WWE, right? They're making these big dick deals, and that's why they're long-term deals. Because WWE cannot guarantee anything, right? And quite frankly, it's already over. They just don't know it yet. But Cody Rhodes cannot carry a multi-million-dollar deal. He makes no difference. Like, imagine going to a meeting and being like, well, I think we should get more money. And the executive, the TV executive or the streaming executive says, oh, is that so? How come? Why should you get more money? Imagine if the next sentence out of someone's mouth is, well, we just signed a contract extension with Cody Rhodes. They're going to be like, wait a second, hold on, let me get out my phone and Google Cody Rhodes because I've never heard of this fucking asshole before, right? Now, back in the day, you could leverage the people that were on your show. You could be like, this is The Rock. He sold like 1 million t-shirts, right? This is The Rock. He's now a Hollywood actor. This is The Rock. He's the highest paid Hollywood actor. And best believe, motherfuckers, The Rock's a talented man, no doubt about it. But The Rock is not the most talented actor of all time right? He's the highest paid actor of all time because of a number of reasons. One of which is his fan base from WWE. One of which is the fact that he was massive already, right? The Rock is a massive draw because he has always been a massive draw. It's like Conor McGregor, right? Conor McGregor is like, I think, the highest paid guy for a first movie in the history of movies. People are like, I can't believe it. I can. Are you kidding me? Who wouldn't want to watch Conor McGregor in a movie, right? Nobody gives a fuck about Jake Gyllenhaal, you know what I mean? Who's obviously a better actor, but nobody gives a fuck. Like, nobody watched that movie because Jake Gyllenhaal's there. Jake Gyllenhaal is not a draw, right? And WWE right now has no draws. So, with that being said, it's like, why is anyone surprised that ESPN is pissed off? Even though the deal is like new, right? Like, clearly, as the hater said, back when I was in Brazil, when I made the video about WrestlePalooza, remember that, motherfucks? And I said, I was like, for $29.99 a month, a lot of people are not going to hop on, right? The whole point of the WWE network was, hey, our pay-per-view quality has fallen down. And the hater remembers this because I remember my pay-per-view purchasing, like, trends, right? So I would always get WrestleMania and the Royal Rumble, and then the inferior ones, I would skip because, like, the price went up. It was like $50 for a pay-per-view. I was a broke-ass college student, right? And I was like, wait a second, motherfucks. You know, I can't even, like, justify paying $50 to see, like, you know, Cena versus Orton for the 19th time, right? Especially if, like, I don't see it now, I'll see it next month anyways. Cuts. So shit just hit the fan, and then they're like, all right, people aren't paying anymore. How about the network? I'm like, great. I'd be like, Mom, can you get me the network? You know, so we can watch some old wrestling? And she'd be like, wrestling's stupid, son. You don't want to watch that. I'm like, come on, Mom, man. And then, like, we're able to get the network day one, right? And, you know, like me, basically, my mom would never watch that shit. But the point is, like, then it was smooth sailing, right? $10, you get all the old pay-per-views. I spent hours in the first 2 weeks watching that shit, you know? You get all the old motherfucks, and then you get all the upcoming pay-per-views too. But now it's like WWE shot their shot. They definitely overvalue themselves, right? Now, I don't know what else is on the bullshit ESPN, like, platform, but it probably doesn't intersect much with wrestling. Now, if there's a lot of other things that justify the $29.99, that's good. But it seems like the WWE is a big part of it. And it's like, I used to get it for $10. I'm not paying 3 times more to watch something that's 3 times worse, right? So, obviously, when ESPN rolled out their horse shit, not enough people went along. Another thing that should be noted, in my opinion at least, is that even though WWE said, oh, we're going to do this way, right? They were supposed to start on the ESPN platform, like, I think in January or some shit, right? But they were like, yeah, we're going to do it in January. Then, like, literally, like, 3 days later, they're like, WrestlePalooza is in 5 days, and that's going to be on the ESPN network, you know? So, like, they fucked us in the ass. And a lot of people are not keen on getting fucked in the ass crack, right? So what happened was, these people were like, yo, fuck this shit. I'm not signing up, right? Then Stephanie McMahon, who, by the way, because of this, she has to go down as a net negative in WWE. She literally goes on her fucking dumbass podcast, which I've never watched, to be fair, but I'm not watching a nepotism-based podcast. Stephanie McMahon doesn't have the requisite talent to attract me to a podcast. I might go only because she's Stephanie McMahon. Let's be real. If she wasn't the daughter of Vince McMahon, you know, she'd be working at like a Bloomingdale's or something. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but she would have like some sort of managerial, you know, capacity. Like, and I didn't mean it as a bad thing. I meant like she'd be like an executive at Bloomingdale's, something like that. Right? But she would never be famous because people aren't famous for being executives unless they're like extremely talented, right? And put themselves over, or unless they're connected to people who are extremely talented. You know, she's talented enough. She's a jack of all trades, a Jill of all trades, but not good enough to get me to get on that podcast, motherfucks. But I don't need to get on the podcast and watch it because I can tell what happened. Because other people watched it for me and talked about it, Cuts. She goes out there, she says, oh, people are afraid they won't be able to afford it. You can always use a VPN. Word? Oh, thank you. That means I can keep the horse shit that I already have, not pay $29.99, and watch it with a VPN? And you're effectively co-signing on this as the daughter of the man that invented this company? She has cost WWE, in my opinion, millions of dollars just by saying that over time, right? Because people are like, oh, even they don't give a shit, right? Well, if Stephanie doesn't care that I use the VPN and she's a shareholder, great, I'll use the VPN. Who am I pissing off, right? The owners don't give a flying fuck, apparently. You know? So what's happening is people are finding alternate ways to watch this. A lot of people are watching highlights. Some people go and read the articles. Hell, some of you motherfucks come on here to get the best review you can. The hater channel, motherfucks. You know? Some people do that. And that's kind of how it goes down. Yeah? It go down in the DM. It go down. So the point is, you know, ESPN is obviously going to be frustrated. Like, who would have thought otherwise? You know what I mean? What has WWE done since WrestlePalooza? WrestlePalooza was shit. I don't even remember what happened. Right? Everything since then has been garbage. Yeah? And really, the outlook is not looking too good, cucks. We have no idea what's going to happen at Royal Rumble. We have no idea what WrestleMania is going to look like. And the facts are what the facts are. Long-term booking is also not a thing. The beautiful thing about long-term booking is that you can just stop doing it, and then you can pretend that this is part of the plan. And people eventually forget. Like, WWE has no booking. You know? That's going to be the subject of the next video, probably. But for now, we're going to stick to the ESPN topic. The facts are, motherfucks, that ESPN has completely screwed the pooch, as some might say, and ESPN has made a mistake in making this deal. Now, they're hoping things get better. And, you know, quite frankly, so am I. Like, I don't have any desire for this deal to fall through. I mean, aside from the small level of validation that I would get for being correct once again. But the point is, eventually, we get along up in this bitch, and the shit is going to hit the fan, right? There will come a point, inevitably, right? If things keep going the way that Freddie Prinze Jr. says they're going, I guess, that the WWE, Triple H, Nick Khan, whoever the fuck's in charge, they're going to get pulled into the office. Right? And they're going to hope at that point, man, I really hope that the guy that's sitting across from me never watched the product. Like, you know they're thinking that. You know they're thinking like, man, the ESPN guys must never watch wrestling. Like, they're making their decision based only on numbers. You know? Even if you watch wrestling, you can be tricked into thinking that this is entertaining, right? Only if you are like someone like me or like you, right? People that have been watching wrestling for a long time, can you see the actual trend? Like, for example, I would be in a much better position than I think some random ass, you know, ESPN executive to determine whether this is a sound investment or not, right? Because I know what it could be. I know what it was. And that's something that you're not going to graph. I mean, you can, the closest thing you're going to get is viewership, right? But they're going to point to the money. The money is the only thing that matters, right? But the idea is still there. The point is, if you go to an office of like ESPN, you're Tony Khan or Triple H, you're thinking, or Lee Fitting, I guess, you're thinking, fuck, I really hope these guys are not wrestling fans, because if they are, ain't no way they're going to invest in my horse shit. You see what I'm saying? And that's how it's going to be. That's just how it is. Catch this? You know what I mean? The world is the world, and it works under these conditions. It works under the conditions of performance. If you do not perform, obviously the person that you're supposed to perform on or for is going to be upset. The same reason why I'm sure Triple H, I mean, he's kind of a cuck, but if it was Vince, for example, I'm sure he'd be pissed off at all the women wrestlers for botching literally in every match. Like 100% of the matches that involve women, there's a botch. Like, I'm not exaggerating, motherfuckers. It's every single women's match. There is a massive fuck up, you know, ranging from like a missed move to like a missed pin, like that Nia Jax match. You know what I mean? Like, when you don't do the job correctly, your boss gets mad. And in this kind of relationship, the job, the business partnership, the boss is ESPN and WWE. They're each other's bosses. The same reason, like if WWE tries to put on WrestleMania, and let's say the ESPN app crashes, which would be hilarious, of course. Obviously, I don't want that because I want to watch WrestleMania, but imagine if that happens, right? WWE's going to be livid, you know? Like the ESPN guys would be shitting their pants. Again, not against like, you know, Triple H or Nick Khan, but if it was Vince, they'd be shitting their pants. Vince might walk in there and beat their ass too, you know what I mean? Mr. McMahon, I'll fight you and your staff, you know what I mean? But the other side is also true. ESPN is holding up their end of the bargain. They're providing the platform. And now WWE needs to provide the viewers. But they can't, motherfucks. They can't. And a lot of people are trying to like dig deep. And they're like, what could Freddie Prinze Jr. have meant? It's very simple, bro. It's a shit deal. They've paid WWE a certain amount of money and they're not getting a return, right? And it's got to be pretty bad because the deal is only a few months old, right? The deal pretty much happened around the time the Hater got married, a few months ago, So, like, they must be seeing very little return because, they're talking to people, I'm sure. They're asking Triple H, and they're saying, hey, man, you said you're going to have this many viewers, this many subscribers, and you don't, right? Like the Hater, for example, I unsubscribed from Peacock, you know what I mean? And I told them, I was like, yo, you don't have WWE anymore. Like, I don't give a fuck. What am I here to watch? Fucking, like, Locked Up or whatever? Some bullshit, Peacock show? Fuck that shit. I was there only to watch wrestling, But I haven't gotten the ESPN thing, you know what I mean? I've watched the events, but it's always been, like, at a bar or, like, with a friend or something. Then I come home and I fucking review that shit. See what I'm saying? Or I do it in, someone else's home, Haters show up in your home like a burglar. But the point is, it's not working out. Just because someone, doesn't want to pay for Peacock anymore because they're like, oh, I only have one reason, doesn't mean they're going to jump to the other one. Peacock, I was surprised to find out that Peacock, those cocksuckers, were charging me like $18. I thought it was like $5, So it pissed me off. But whatever, it is what it is. The point is, like $17, I get a lot of other shit. Some of it I did watch. Versus ESPN, where I'm pretty sure all you get is wrestling and some Pat McAfee show, which I fucking hate. That guy, he sucks. So with all that being said, cuckwads, the facts are the facts. And the reality is the reality. And at this point, the reality speaks for itself. WWE needs to step up. The only saving grace that they have is it's the holiday season, so people are not going to be on their ass as much. And perhaps more importantly, after the holiday season, immediately we jump onto WrestleMania season. And as a result of WrestleMania season, we may or may not find ourselves in a situation where WWE can try to get some viewership. Of course, obviously the question remains, and the question is, why don't they just do this the whole time, right? How about just fucking make it better, motherfuckers? Just make it better. It's not that hard. Just make it better. And with that being said, take care of yourself, cucks, and I'll see you later today for video number 2, because the Hater's failing some type of way up in this bitch. It's going to be a 2-video kind of day, cucks this. See you guys later, motherfucks.